Come see the Zoo Babies this weekend at the Bronx Zoo.
I think I found the secret to your golfing success. J.B. Hanauer.
You know, they help me manage my municipal bond portfolio so I can go golfing.
Computerized portfolio statement. Expensive?
It's free.
Monthly cash flow analysis.
Free.
Called bond service?
Free. Their bond redemption service is free, too. Ready to play golf?
I'm ready to call J.B. Hanauer.
Call now for J.B. Hanauer's Municipal Bond Buyer Service Plan. As you'd expect, it's free.
Play Jeopardy! Tomorrow night at 7, right here on Channel 7.
As though it were reluctant to be day, morning deploys a scale of rarities in gray.
Turn it around, run it home backwards, stop. Wrap her lips round midnight, nice.
It is hot today, dry enough for cutting grain. And I am drifting back to North Dakota, where butterflies are all gone brown.
To my hips. These hips are big hips. They need space to move around.
This is poetry in the form of street talk. Scorpio from D.C., and I'll be live in New York.
Gilroy, the unknown soldier, who was the first to land, the last to leave with his own hand.
Tonight, we address the question, who cares about poetry in America?
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
When I was a child growing up in England, parents, not just mine, but almost all parents, placed enormous stock in the health-giving power of cod liver oil. Despite the fact that I was repeatedly told how good it was for me, I learned to loathe cod liver oil. Unfortunately, some parents and many teachers dispense poetry the same way. We would like, if humanly possible, to undo some of that damage tonight. Indeed, perhaps a warning is in order. Poetry has the power to arouse and inflame, to evoke the most private of emotions. It can be polemical or funny. It can rhyme, but it doesn't have to. And there is some danger that you may enjoy it. 6 men and women will be joining us tonight to perform some poetry, most of it their own. But first, my colleague Dave Marish will introduce you to the startling proposition that poetry can be popular.
All right. Poetry lives. Crack those ears. Here we go.
To the third-rate poet who drifted off into eternal obscurity, teasing and tempting kismet by screaming, I just want to say something.
Why didn't you run to me first? I'm a female warrior, you know. Perfectly willing to melt down my armor.
What's going on here is a mix of peoples and types, all centered around words that you can dance to.
Words shimmy and slam out of MC Bob Holman's mouth as he launches another set of improvised poetry at New York's Nuyorican Poets Cafe. Rap, Holman says, has people listening to lyrics again. Miguel Algarin, the poet-scholar who helped found the cafe, thinks it's a combination of early 60s literary energy and early 90s economics that's made the cafe a popular place for low-cost weekend dates.
It's clear that this new game, tongue-in-cheek thing that we have going called the Poetry Slam has made it a fun, popular place to come to hear poetry on a Friday night when you would ordinarily want to go out dancing.
Didn't I make myself clear? My paradise is lost, but I don't want the crack poison out of control. I want the New York extra sharp cheddar, cheddar, cheddar. Yeah, that's all I want. Thanks.
Who comes? I think everybody comes. It's definitely young, and it's definitely alive.
The oral, improvised poetry of the Nuyorican Poets Cafe lives for the moment, in the open air. But the more enduring poetry, read by the crowd who came to welcome Poet Laureate Joseph Brodsky to the Library of Congress last September, can live on only on paper. And poetry in print, Brodsky told his admirers, isn't reaching enough people.
I don't rightly know what's worse, burning books or not reading them.
How to get more people reading poetry? Brodsky's answer is simple. Print more poetry and put it before more people.
You can publish an anthology of American poetry and put it in the drawer of every motel in this country. The Bible won't object. Bible doesn't object to the phone book next to it.
If Brodsky has his way, you'll find poetry in hotel rooms, on newsstands, even in supermarkets. Brodsky says he's already had a letter from the National Enquirer offering to print American poetry, but he wants more. He wants whole books of poems racked right here. You know, the Globe, the Enquirer, the Star, the Examiner, and Emily Dickinson.
Well, maybe the person who buys the Enquirer won't want to buy Emily Dickinson, but maybe her boyfriend will, or maybe his kid will.
Some literary people think Brodsky's onto something. Some don't.
I wish I could say that it was a possible dream. I think it is an impossible dream. Just to down-market a book because it is a good book and you want to reach the broadest possible audience, I'm afraid is not a reality today.
Reality for Jane Friedman is her recently revived Every Man's Library. Great books, but at a $15 to $22 price. A far cry from Brodsky's books for $1 or $2.
This comes out of my first meeting with Joseph Brodsky. A thrush, because I'd been wrong, burst rightly into song, in a world not vague, not lonely, not governed by me only.
Former poet laureate Richard Wilbur agrees with his friend Brodsky.
I think that books of poetry are frighteningly priced at present.
Wilbur and another former laureate, Mark Strand, disagree that mass marketing can create a massive audience for poetry.
There has to be a way in which poetry is made not only available, but made necessary. And just because it appears on supermarket shelves doesn't mean that people are going to find it a need. And I think they're going to have to be educated to feel that poetry, or in fact any other writing that is demanding, is necessary.
This is supposed to make art accessible and easily available to everybody, like corn and potatoes.
Poet and playwright Ntozake Shangi has found it easy to communicate the necessity of literary art. She and several other famous writers are part of a program called The Writer's Voice, launched in Manhattan to put together published and unpublished authors from Maine to Montana.
I got to Billings, and I couldn't believe it was so small. People in the hotel, people in the street, I went to a bakery, they were all getting ready to come to the biggest hall in the town to see two poets, Maxine Schumann and myself.
Another Writer's Voice participant says great poets at the town hall makes the same kind of good sense as poetry at the mall or market.
People can be reached on engaged in a serious way without necessarily being engaged in a high-tone sort of preconceivably literary way. I think that the best writers have always, or the greatest writers have always written for big audiences.
We are all literate. Therefore, everybody is a potential reader of poetry. It is on this assumption that the distribution of books should be based.
Poetry can be a dense form of language and can need a guide or a machete to get through the thickets to meaning. That's fine. That can be a wonderful experience. It takes a kind of tuning up of the eyes and the ears to be able to do that. Maybe for that kind of poetry you need a college education, but that's not the only kind of poetry that there is.
Poetry, plain or not so simple, doesn't lack for advocates or, it would seem, makers or consumers. A good thing, too, because as Roy Blunt Jr. reminds us, we need language that's honest and strong to have an America that's honest and strong. Or to put it into the kind of pop lyrics that Bob Holman might dance to, America, the song is you. I'm Dave Marish for Nightline in Washington.
When we come back, I'll be joined by 6 poets.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by IBM.
Right now, IBM is going beyond conventional computing by pioneering a way to touch millions of lives.
Brains blow!
They love the hands-on stuff.
Information becomes something with an imagination.
IBM Multimedia.
You can touch so many emotions with pictures and colors and sounds.
It's really wonderfully exciting.
I'd like to introduce you to an all-natural, non-toxic lawn care product, Thatchmaster. Thatchmaster reduces excess thatch without verticutting or old-fashioned raking. Thatchmaster uses a natural protein enzyme to gradually break down excess thatch. As thatch starts to disappear, water and nutrients are more easily absorbed into the soil, and your lawn can look thicker and healthier. Thatchmaster makes a tough job easier naturally.
Available at Sears, Kmart, Frank's, and participating True Value, a natural and non-toxic way to dethatch your lawn.
Home Depot, Home Depot. Low prices are just the beginning.
At Home Depot, we're known for low prices.
It's the service that really sets us apart. We can design a kitchen free.
We'll cut screen, glass, pipe, or anything else.
We'll leave a special order.
We'll load your car. No problem.
We'll be glad to deliver.
We're proud to honor the American Express card.
We'll make it easy for you.
Home Depot, where low prices are just the beginning, and where we welcome the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
It's been a coast-to-coast saving success, but these are its final days. It's the National Jeep Sale at your Jeep and Eagle dealer. Your last chance to save over $2,900 on Jeep Cherokee. Plus, save up to $900 on the freedom-loving Jeep Wrangler. There are only a few more days to save, so see your dealer soon. Because while our vehicles know no limits, our sales do.
Get the advantage at your local Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Is there a pill that will prevent breast cancer? The government is about to test one on American women. But how safe is it? Watch 2020 Friday.
The 6 men and women behind me are all poets, although one or two of them may be known to you for other things they have done. We're not going to talk about poetry anymore tonight. We're going to do it. And then later on, I'll introduce all of our guests to you.
Early in this century, Thomas Mann pronounced that the destiny of this century should be written in political terms. The poet William Butler Yeats responded with a poem called Politics, in which he said, "How can I, that girl standing there, my attention fix on German or on Russian or on Chinese politics? Here's a traveled man who knows what he talks about, and there's a politician who has read and thought. And maybe what they say is true of war and war's alarms, but oh, that I were young again and held her in my arms."
Homage to my hips. These hips are big hips. They need space to move around in. They don't fit into little petty places. These hips are free hips. They don't like to be held back. These hips have never been enslaved. They go where they want to go. They do what they want to do. These hips are mighty hips. These hips are magic hips. I have known them to put a spell on a man and to spin him like a top.
August from my desk. It is hot today, dry enough for cutting grain, and I am drifting back to North Dakota, where butterflies are all gone brown with wheat dust, and where some boy, red-faced, sweating, chafed, too young to be dying this way, steers a laborious, self-propelled combine, dreaming of cities and blizzards and airplanes. With the white silk scarf of his sleeve, he shines and shines his goggles. He checks his meters, checks his flaps, screams contact at his dreamless father. He pulls back the stick, engines roaring, and hurtles into the sun.
Jazz Jam for Shirley Horn with an introduction by Duke Ellington's It Don't Mean a Thing. Do-ah, 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 do-ah. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Why, 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 why? It ain't the melody, it ain't the music. There's something else that makes the tune complete. She bass it up. Call drum to take it away. Give it back. Lay it down low. Swing fingers. Slice ivory bright moments. Walk it downtown. Turn it around. Run it home backwards. Stop. Wrap her lips round midnight. Nice and easy. Call me back to witness my birth 3 times. Her Majesty. Ah, she messed with it. Nice. Like sassy.
I don't usually write anything openly political, so this came to me as something of a surprise. I wish to say before reading it that I really do not wish the former president any ill whatever, but I try to answer in the poem the question posed by the title, which is, what will Reagan's epitaph be? Now the genial dunce is dead, having passed in Nancy's bed. Grieve not, America, nor weep. He died as he had lived, asleep.
On June 22nd, you'll meet a sedan that's not like everybody else's. Until then, you just have to wait, like everybody else. The all-new Mazda 626.
Your routine, rugged, grueling, day after day. It's even harder when athlete's foot routinely comes back. But today, there's prescription strength Lotrimin AF. Many types of fungus can cause athlete's foot. But Lotrimin AF is a broad spectrum medicine, so it kills them all. No wonder it's the brand most recommended by doctors. So while there's no finish line for you, there is for your athlete's foot. Lotrimin AF.
Now's the best time to protect your home with Sears Weather Beater. Because right now, Weather Beater Satin Finish exterior paint is on sale. Just $15.99 a gallon. Sale ends Saturday, so hurry to the paint store you can count on. Sears.
Think smart. Think lease. Think Lincoln. Now, for only $4.79 per month, drive away in a technologically advanced 92 Lincoln Continental. Or, at just $4.99 per month, enjoy the room and comfort of the 92 Lincoln Town Car. So think smart. Think lease. Think Lincoln. See your Lincoln Mercury dealer today. Lincoln, what a luxury lease should be.
Sir?
Sorry, I'm in a hurry.
Sir, we'd like to talk to you about stress reduction.
Okay, I've got to see some important people.
Sir, you need to take the day off.
You know, I need to take the day off.
Dorney Park in Wildwater Kingdom is the top seasonal water park in the U.S. and one of America's greatest family amusement parks. It's recreation for the body and the mind. Take the day off.
Money-saving coupons available at participating Burger King restaurants.
I thought of the most wonderful thing in the world to be...
They were all dreamers. Now they're all achievers.
The issue is that women and men can do anything that they want to in life.
And that's why I feel badly for people who work every day and they hate what they're doing. If you think there are limits to what you can do, wait till you hear what they did.
All of us have the talent to do something.
Reaching your wildest dreams on the next one. Tomorrow at 4 here on Channel 7.
If you think your tax dollars go to waste, this report will really shock you. Meet the Princes of Pork Barrel, a 2020 investigation, Friday.
Simply put, some more poetry from our 6 poets.
22 nutmeg arms reach for the pot. Pass the pot clockwise. First, Daddy's big-based hand. Then, round the table, down to me. 1 lone neck bone, a few strands of kraut. Pass the hot sauce. Suck the milk from the last bone. Suck the last love bone down, like Mama's breast.
Curriculum vitae. As though it were reluctant to be day, morning deploys a scale of rarities in grey, and winter settles down in its chainmail, victorious over legions of gold and red. The smoky souls of stones, blunt
pencilings of lead pare down the world to glintless monotones of graveyard weather, vapors of a fen we reckon through our pores. Save for the garbage men, our children are the first ones out of doors. Book-bagged and padded out, at mouth and nose they manufacture ghosts, George Washingtons and Poes, Banquos, the Union and Confederate hosts, and are themselves the hosts, file cabinet gray, of some departed us, signing our lives away on ferned and parsleyed windows of a bus.
Three of the ships used to transport African natives to this country where they were enslaved were called Jesus and Angel and Grace of God. Slave ship. Loaded like spoons into the belly of Jesus, where we lay for weeks, for months, in the sweat and stink of our own breathing. Jesus, why do you not protect us? Chained to the heart of the angel, where the prayers we never tell are hot and red as our bloody ankles. Jesus, angel, can these be men who vomit us out from ships called Jesus, angel, grace of God, onto a heathen country? Jesus, angel, ever again can this tongue speak? Can this bone walk? Grace of God, can this sin live?
When one deals with a matter of war and peace, you find yourself dissatisfied with evidence from body counts and kill ratios and look for something deeper and more proper. And this poem speaks about the war in Vietnam in the observation that Kilroy was not there. And the word is, Kilroy is gone. The word is out, absent without leave from Vietnam. Kilroy, who wrote his name in every can from Poland to Japan and places in between like Sheboygan and Racine, is gone absent without leave from Vietnam. Kilroy, who kept the dice and stole the ice out of the BOQ. Kilroy, whose name was good on every IOU in World War II and even in Korea, is gone absent without leave from Vietnam. Kilroy, the unknown soldier, who was the first to land, the last to leave, with his own hand has taken his good name from all the walls and toilet stalls and gone absent without leave from Vietnam. Kilroy, whose name around the world was like the flag unfurled, has run it down and left Saigon and the Mekong without a hero or a song and gone absent without leave from Vietnam.
When you say poetry, you mean let the words flow. Some rhyme, some don't. But on the Ted Koppel show, I got a chance to show you poetry called rap. Yeah, quick as your fingers snap, bring it to your mind with a beat and a rhyme. I get loose like this all the time. Do I have to say a tricky rap and flip with that? Nasty, don't ask me, do I pass me? My style's fat. Competition wanna listen, my flavor's new. Got what you're missing and you're tripping off the things I do. Any mic can hand me, gotta be handy if the system's pumped. And if it ain't no junk and piece of funk, they'll jump. This is poetry in the form of street talk. Scorpio from DC, and I'll be live in New York.
My great thanks go to Senator Eugene McCarthy, who was also a presidential candidate, Lucille Clifton, the former poet laureate of Maryland, D.C. Scorpio, a hip-hop rapper, Quayle Smith, a performing artist, Roland Flint, a poet and professor of English, and Anthony Hecht, who has won a Pulitzer Prize for poetry. When we come back, I'll leave you with a few lines from Walt Whitman, who died 100 years ago, but who speaks of and to all generations.
You must travel back in time 1 billion years to witness its birth. You will search in vain for a more enduring or brilliant creation. You can comb the world and never find one the same. It is rare. It is precious. It is love. And its only promise is forever.
The revolutionary Goodyear AquaTread radio. Its advanced deep groove aqua channel channels water away as you drive.
It makes sense the way the water flows away.
The water goes right off the tire.
The water flows away.
The all-new, all-season AquaTread radio.
Only from Goodyear. Oh, I get a feeling of good stability and security.
Another reason we say the best tires in the world.
It does what they say it'll do.
Have Goodyear written all over them.
They're the best tires I've ever had.
Recycling's easy if you got the right stuff and you know what to do. So don't make a mess. Just ask Ace.
Ace Harmony trash bags are just $1.97, and Ace siliconized acrylic caulk is 88 cents a tube.
Ace Best Buy is another reason Ace is a place for you.
On June 22nd, you meet a sedan that's not like everybody else's. Until then, you just have to wait, like everybody else. The all-new Mazda 626.
Either you give your customer the best possible service, or somebody else will.
We could take you on a vacation you will never forget, but you've got to get through to us first.
AT&T has the most reliable 800 service. It's guaranteed by the 800 insurance policy, and it's designed so that more calls actually get through.
Our 800 service is our front door. If it shuts down, we shut down.
When you consider that every call is a customer, why would you want anything less than AT&T?
We can make a difference. AT&T. Call us. On the next Good Morning America, an inspiring story, volunteers building on the American dream. Then children and the video game maze here on Good Morning America.
There is in good poetry the astonishment of recognition, the remarkable discovery that some other person of a different race, a different age, a different gender has captured one of your own most private thoughts. Good poetry transcends time and space. It is as relevant to the past as it will be to the future. Exactly 100 years ago, Walt Whitman, one of this country's greatest poets, died. One of my personal favorites among all of Whitman's poems is a fairly long work of his called Crossing Brooklyn Ferry. There isn't time to read all of it tonight, just a few verses. But even in a few verses, Whitman captured the universality of the human spirit, the unalterable fact that we are all more akin to one another than different. Others will enter the gates of the ferry and cross from shore to shore. Others will watch the run of the flood tide. Others will see the shipping of Manhattan north and west, and the heights of Brooklyn to the south and east. Others will see the islands large and small. 50 years hence, others will see them as they cross the sun half an hour high. 100 years hence, or ever so many 100 years hence, others will see them, will enjoy the sunset, the pouring in of the flood tide, the falling back to the sea of the ebb tide. It avails not, time nor place. Distance avails not. I am with you, you men and women of a generation or ever so many generations hence. Just as you feel when you look on the river and sky, so I felt. Just as any of you is one of a living crowd, I was one of a crowd. Just as you are refreshed by the gladness of the river and the bright flow, I was refreshed. Just as you stand and lean on the rail, yet hurry with the swift current, I stood, yet was hurried. Just as you look on the numberless masts of ships and the thick-stemmed pipes of steamboats, I looked. These and all else were to me the same as they are to you. I loved well those cities, loved well the stately and rapid river. The men and women I saw were all near to me. Others the same, others who look back on me because I look forward to them. The time will come, though I stop here today and tonight. What is it then between us? What is the count of the scores or hundreds of years between us? Whatever it is, it avails not. Distance avails not, and place avails not. I too lived. Brooklyn of ample hills was mine. I too walked the streets of Manhattan Island and bathed in the waters around it. I too felt the curious, abrupt questionings stir within me. Walt Whitman, more than 100 years ago. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
If you wish a videocassette version of Nightline, the cost is $14.98, plus $3.95 shipping and handling. If you wish a printed transcript, please send $4 to 1535 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Hi, I'm Jack Nicklaus. Join me along with the world's finest players as we tee off in one of golf's greatest events, the U.S. Open. Live coverage begins Saturday on ABC Sports.
Saturday.
These gangs are different. We're not afraid of cops.
Academy Award winner Hang S. Noor guest stars on The Commish Saturday.
It's been a coast-to-coast saving success, but these are its final days. It's the National Jeep Sale, and your Jeep and Eagle dealer. Your last chance to save over $2,900 on Jeep Cherokee. Plus, save up to $900 on the freedom-loving Jeep Wrangler. There are only a few more days to save, so see your dealer soon. Because while our vehicles know no limits, our sales do.
Can I actually get more truck for the money?
Yes! And a great deal? Yes! Today? Yes!
Toyota dealers are saying yes to everything on Toyota trucks, like no down payment and no payments for 90 days. Plus, factory-to-dealer incentives can save you a bundle.
Yes, we can.
Your dealer can put it all together for you. Big selection, flexible financing, immediate delivery, and that great Toyota quality.
They said yes, and I saved $2,000.
See your Toyota dealer now, while he's saying
yes, we can.
Something extraordinary is going on. Wall Street is moving. It's moving across town. It's moving uptown. It's even moving out of town. Because Wall Street is moving to Citibank. When you invest in Citibank, expert investment consultants will help you choose what's right for you. From over 600 mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and money market funds. Because Wall Street is moving to Citibank.
Goldie Hawn.
Love her on the next line.
Welcome to Channel 7's Late Movie. Tonight's feature is Holocaust 2000, starring Kirk Douglas and Anthony Quayle.